abduction tales are made of. But a new, rather heavy book out this week not only alleges that UFOs exist, but that the bodies of 4 aliens were recovered and examined by a special American government team 40 years ago. Well, Timothy Good, the book's author, is here with us this morning. Timothy, this sounds absolutely extraordinary and frankly quite unbelievable.
Yes, well, the facts are that back in July 1947, an unidentified object was seen 75 miles north of Roswell, New Mexico, and it apparently crashed. The wreckage was found some days later, distributed over a wide area. Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer in charge of the operation, has confirmed that the wreckage was like nothing he'd ever seen before. The wreckage was carted off under armed guard. Subsequently, I think about 5 days later, 4 bodies were found 2 miles from the wreckage site. And according to this above top-secret document that I have, a top-secret panel called Majestic 12 was established under President Truman, and they determined that the bodies were, although humanoid in shape, and apparently not similar, obviously, to ordinary human beings, and they dubbed them extraterrestrial biological entities.
How, if we just suspend disbelief for a moment, how have you got hold of this information, if it is correct?
Well, most documents that I have published in my book have been made under provisions of the American Freedom of Information Act. The CIA, FBI, National Security Agency, Defense Intelligence Agency, Air Force, Army and Naval Intelligence, for example. But this particular document was made available to me unofficially earlier this year.
There have been reports saying that this particular document, and this is reports by other UFO watchers, is a complete hoax.
Oh, certainly, yes, but it's my belief that my sources are reliable and that it will be authenticated in due course.
We have some photographs, actually, from the book, which perhaps you could explain. I don't know if that relates to the story you've
Yes.
told us.
No, it doesn't. That's even earlier. This is Second World War, 1942, in February, over Los Angeles, in the small hours. Dozens of unidentified objects were seen, and 1,430 rounds of ammunition was let loose at these craft.
So what is it we can exactly see in the picture
Well,
now,
unfortunately,
then?
from this particular photograph, you can't see the object, which is at the apex of the searchlights. The actual, what appear to be UFOs above the apex of the searchlights are, in fact, anti-aircraft shells bursting. Now, General George Marshall, who was United States Army Chief of Staff at the time, confirmed in a memorandum to President Roosevelt that these were genuine unidentified aircraft. They were not Japanese, because the Japanese feared that they were being invaded, the Americans feared they were being invaded by the Japanese at the time, and they weren't American Army or Navy planes.
But, I mean, surely it's fair to assume that most unidentified objects are some kind of satellite or military equipment or other.
Well, the word UFO covers a whole host of possibilities, and I think most researchers admit that at least 70, possibly 90% of all UFOs can be explained in conventional terms.
Now, the next picture that we have, I understand, is of
Yes.
a man that was actually injured.
This is Stephen Michalak, who on the 20th of May 1967 encountered a landed UFO, which he observed for about half an hour in a forest clearing in Canada, and he subsequently approached it, walked round the craft and actually touched it, knocked on the hull, and a blast of hot air struck him in the stomach, setting his clothes on fire. He became violently ill. He vomited several hundred times, apparently, on his way back to civilization.
One cynically wants to ask the question, was he not violently ill before he saw it?
No, he certainly wasn't. And moreover, he was examined by a total of 27 doctors at his own expense over a period of 2 years, none of whom was able properly to identify the cause of their symptoms.
And have you ever had any personal experience yourself?
Well, yes, I have. I've had a number of UFO sightings. I hasten to add that none of them have been particularly exciting. They've all been very distant objects. The last was in December 1980. This was something witnessed by probably hundreds of people over southeast London and probably central London as well. And fortunately, a video film was taken of this object. It's not very clear owing to poor definition on video. But at least it shows that something was seen.
Well, it is fascinating, Timothy. Thank you very much indeed. It's funny, though, Richard, she said cynically again, how unclear the pictures always seem to be.